That's not how I want to start this off. Okay. I inhaled through my mouth and all the peppery powder stuff just shot to the back of my mouth, and it's awesome. Why was I doing this again? So we all have our fair share of human moments every now and again. This is a story about one of mine. Sometimes you just need to be humbled. You get to a place where you just feel like every day's your birthday. And it was like everybody's birthday yesterday. What is with that? I'm honestly convinced that there is no such thing as a June birthday that's not on Juneteenth, I'll be honest. Except for like, what was his name, Fetty Wap? Wow, I just had a flashback to sophomore year. And inevitably I'm gonna be depressed for the rest of the day. As if telling this story wasn't gonna be bad enough. Okay, so first of all, in the workplace, I pride myself a lot on being a go-getter. If there's something that needs to be done, I'm typically gonna be the one that gets it done. That's just who I am. But this particular day, I was feeling slightly under the weather, and for the life of me, I couldn't really figure out why. So suddenly, I'm just all weak in the knees, I'm cramping up, I don't know what's going on. And then I feel sort of movement, if you will. This is gonna get gross really fast. I feel this sort of movement, and I realize at this point, okay, I don't know what's about to happen, but I cannot be here when it happens. And so I rush out to the back. In this bathroom at work, there's one urinal and one stall. The stall is already taken. I'm crossing my fingers and praying to God that that's not a thing that I'm gonna need. And so I'm up against the urinal doing my thing there, right? Sure enough, I feel at least a little bit better for just a second. I make my way over to the sink to wash my hands, and then I feel another movement. But instead of in front, it's coming from behind. And so instinctively, I move myself over, of course, because who wants to be by the sink when that sort of thing happens? Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. And sometimes what you gotta do, God forbid, but sometimes what you gotta do is take a dump in the urinal.
Oh, this is awful. Oh my goodness.
When my boss found out about it, he wouldn't let me forget for at least another week. Yeah, I still feel gross about it, just talking about it. So yeah, I'm standing against the wall, doing a wall sit over the urinal. And remember how I mentioned that the stall was already taken? Of course, being that I'm in this situation, that's kind of a given. At this point, when the happening has happened, I hear the stall door open. Kyle walks out and almost immediately makes eye contact with me. And the first words that come to mind for me to utter out of my own mouth were, "It was an emergency." As if me being in that position wasn't nearly enough to put that together. But you know what, in retrospect, I'm honestly very glad it was him that found me like that, because he was super cool about it. He didn't laugh at me, at least not to my face. Put the out of order sign outside, and back to get some materials so I could clean the place up. I'm in there for probably another 30 minutes. 5 minutes of it was spent with me cleaning myself off. 15 minutes of it was spent cleaning the entire bathroom. And the last 10 minutes were me contemplating my entire existence. If I come back to the land of the living, I'm not gonna be able to look at these guys the same way again. These are your people you work with. You want them to think of you in that particular way. That's not a position you want them to see you in. At least I don't. I don't typically get vulnerable with people at work. But you know, when you're making eye contact with a guy while your rear end's hanging out and you're sitting over the urinal, you don't really have a choice. So in short, that was a bit of a humbling experience for me, because it reminded me that despite my own efforts, I don't function like a well-oiled machine 100% of the time. This is the most vulnerable position that I could physically be in. I don't want my guys at work to see me in that position. I mean, that was just weird. But you know what? There's probably a lesson in it. For the life of me, I probably won't figure out what it is. So in short, don't be like me. Be humble. Be self-aware enough to realize that you're not a supernatural person. You're not a machine. You don't get to operate at the top tier level 100% of the time. It's just not how we're built as humans. We get beat up. We get wore out. That's just what happens. And when it does, God forbid, but even if it is that embarrassing, just accept it and move on. When this video goes live, I'm not sure there's a lot of people that will let me move on from it, but nonetheless.